Hi, I'm Judy. Welcome to Go with Yin Yoga. Today I have an approximately 40-minute Yin Yoga practice that focuses on letting go of grief. You will need some props. I definitely suggest a bolster if you have it. If not, several thick pillows work very nicely, or lots of rolled up blankets. Blanket can be very nice if your knees aren't very happy when you kneel. And a couple blocks are always good, but are optional. I will be using them in this practice. I'm sitting on one right now. So go ahead and get all your props and then join me back here. And now that you have everything you need for this practice, I invite you to come into an easy seat, hopefully propped up on something on the edge of a blanket or a bolster or sitting on a block as I am. You want your hips above your knees so you can be comfortable as we begin this practice. And as you're sitting here, bring your hands to your belly. And notice your belly rise on your inhale and go inward on your exhale. So expanding on the inhale, going inward on the exhale. Kind of a little prompt for Yin Yoga. Yin Yoga is all about going inward, holding postures for a longer amount of time so that you can relax and go inside and watch your emotions go by without judging them. And if it's comfortable for you, go ahead and close your eyes. Otherwise, stare at the tip of your nose. I'd like to share a poem with you. It is by Donna Ashworth. I really enjoy her work. It's called When Your Head Hits the Pillow Tonight. So this poem is about letting go, not necessarily of grief, but that is our theme for all of October 2022, letting go. When your head hits the pillow tonight, remember the smiles of the day, the laughter, the little wins, the warm words, and let everything else go. Put the lessons learned in a file marked done, and give yourself a pat on the back for the things you got right. Leave the stresses of tomorrow where they belong, tomorrow. Leave the stresses of today where they belong too. And let the night take away the heavy weight from your shoulders. Let it go. Let yourself be safe. Let yourself be still. Let yourself be at rest. When your head hits the pillow tonight, my friend, let sleep come and let your soul be. You did enough today. We are all just doing our best with no rule book, in a game with no referee and no halftime. None of us are getting it right. We are all just winging it. We are all just as scared as weary. When your head hits the pillow tonight, my friend, close your eyes and remember, you are worthy. And slowly begin to blink your eyes open if they're closed. Turn to face the short end of your mat. Come off the block if you were sitting on it or whatever else you may be sitting on. Come into a tabletop position. Go ahead and take your blocks if you're going to use them, and I will demo that in a moment, and have them to either side towards the top of your mat. Your hips are over your knees, and the object of this pose is to try to keep them there. And then we're going to walk our arms forward. And you may need to adjust your stance and begin to let your chest melt down towards your mat, keeping those hips over the knees. Our affirmation for this practice is I let go of drowning I let go of grief. All right. I let go of drowning out my grief by blank. What are the things that you do to drown out your grief? And perhaps, like the poem says, maybe that is always doing stuff, being so busy that you don't have time to feel. And you think by being so busy, you can hold that grief at bay. But when we're stuck in our grief, we can't move forward. And so sometimes you need to be still. Sometimes that's the answer. And that is something that Yin Yoga really teaches us, how to be still, trying to be still without judgment. And last couple of breaths here. And last breath. And begin to push into your palms or the blocks to lift your torso up, walking your hands back towards your body, bringing your hips back towards your heels. And just take a short rest in child pose. And begin to bring yourself back up, coming down onto your elbows, straightening your legs out behind you, coming into Cobra Pose. And you may find it may feel good to have a bolster under your chest here. And it may feel good to have your hands up, well, not your hands, but your elbows up on blocks, so that you have your elbow on a block like that. So physically, we are opening up our chest and our heart with this practice. We're getting into the low back, specifically in Sphinx pose. So you may feel some sensation in your low back, and that is fine. You may even feel a little discomfort back there, and that is also okay. What you don't want to feel, of course, is pain, and that would mean that you've gone beyond your edge. And as we lay in this pose, in this cobra pose, a sphinx pose, I invite you to think about the ways that you try to drown out grief, and whether or not that's actually serving you, and whether or not that's something you need to let go of. And you need to invite that grief in, just acknowledge it, feel it, make space for it to go. An invitation or an offer for the last minute to either stay in Sphinx pose or perhaps press into the palms of your hands and straighten your arms without locking out those elbows. And give your back a little more compression. When we compress our joints and then let go of that tension, they're bathed in the fluids that they need, and energy can start flowing again. Last couple of breaths here. Last breath. And again, begin to walk your hands towards your body and just come into a brief child's pose. Let any tension in that back just roll right off the back. And come forward. Take your legs out towards the side. And go ahead and grab your bolster. Take it vertically on your mat, pointing towards one of the short ends of your mat. You can place a couple of blocks under it if you'd like. You can place blocks at different heights under it if you'd like. And then straighten your legs out straight in front of you. The bolster should be just a little bit further than your hips. And begin to lay down over the bolster. Let your arms open up to either side. With this practice, we are also focusing on the lung and large intestine meridian. So the lungs are all about taking in oxygen and letting go of carbon dioxide. And we're also helping to strengthen our immunity by strengthening those lungs and our large intestines. So we're working all month long on strengthening the qi, as it's called, of our lung and large intestine to help build our immunity as we go into the winter season. I let go of drowning my grief with blank. fill in the blank. And for the last moment that we are laying back in fish pose, as we are trying to let go of any sort of grief that we may have, I invite you to take your left hand and bring it across to the right armpit, and then begin to bring it towards, on the same level as your armpit, towards the middle of your chest. And begin to make small, gentle circles here. And we're just stimulating an acupressure point here that can help to get the energy flowing through our lung meridian and help us to deal with grief in a way that is healthy. And be very gentle with yourself. No need to really press hard. And last couple of breaths here. Last breath. Let that go. Slowly bring the soles of your feet to your mat. Knees point towards the sky. And then begin to gently and slowly roll on off your bolster. Set it over towards the side. Grab your blanket. I would do that, but I'm using that to protect my bolster. Bring your hips over towards the right side of your mat, and then slowly come down onto your elbows, and then onto your back. Slowly draw one knee into your chest, then the other, and let your knees fall over towards the left. Bring your arms open into a T. So whether you're practicing in the morning or you're practicing in the evening, I'd like you to let go of anything that you feel didn't go well today, or any grief you may have been carrying around for a while. As the poem says, let it go. We're all doing the best that we can. Every day, your best is good enough. And this is somewhere where a blanket between your legs can feel very, very nice. Like I said, I'm using mine to protect my bolster. Last couple breaths here. Slowly begin to take your feet to the mat. I apologize for all the brushing. I have a lot of ants in our backyard. And then lift your hips, bring them over to the left side of your mat. Bring one knee into the chest, and then the other, and let your legs fall over to the opposite side. And you may notice one side may feel much more open than the other. That is completely normal. I can tell you my right side tends to be much more open than my left side. It's very unusual actually for the human body to be completely balanced side to side. I let go of drowning my grief by fill in the blank. Last couple of breaths here. And last breath. And slowly begin to take the top foot to your mat and bottom foot bringing your spine nice and straight and long. And then stretch one leg out to the bottom of your mat and then the other. Let your feet fall open. You may want to grab that bolster as we come into Shavasana, our final resting pose. And this is the place where all the work that you've done over the past half hour or so begins to integrate. And I know for some people, Shavasana is not an easy position. But I also know that for a lot of us, it might be the only time your entire day that you are still. And it's only in that stillness that we can experience those emotions. And it is very normal for emotions to arise as we are practicing Yin, because it is a very still and very meditative practice. So don't skip this part. Invite the stillness in. As Donna Ashworth wrote in her poem, "When your head hits the pillow tonight, let the night take away the heavy weight from your shoulders. Let it go. Let yourself be safe. Let yourself be still. Let yourself be at rest." And continue to relax into the stillness until you hear my voice again. Begin to let your breath deepen. Let any tension that may have built up just soften. Let it just melt into the earth. The earth can take it. Begin to take any movements that you need. After laying for several minutes, wiggling fingers and toes, maybe wiggling hips a little bit, perhaps drawing one knee in and doing some hip circles and then the other. And on your next inhale, stretch your arms up overhead and your feet straight down the mat. Really, as if you're just waking up in the morning and getting a good, big stretch. And then begin to draw one knee into your chest, and then the other, or simply keeping your feet on your mat, bending your knees towards the sky. Either way, begin to slowly and gently roll over to one side. Bottom arm comes straight on your mat to cradle your head. And take a few deep breaths here. And slowly begin to press into the palms of your hands, trying to keep your neck in line with your spine and pushing your torso upright. Coming into a seated position with eyes closed, if that's comfortable. On your next inhale, bring the palms of your hands together in front of your heart to meet, bringing together body, mind, and spirit. And noticing if there's been any shift in the way you feel or in your energy from when you came onto your mat till this moment now. And give yourself thanks for choosing to give yourself time to be in stillness with your emotions. I thank you so much for choosing me and practicing with me. And very slowly begin to blink your eyes open, bowing your head over your hands, taking in your mat, and then slowly raising your head, looking straight forward into the rest of the day or the evening. I hope that you were able to let go of some emotion during this practice, or perhaps just let go of a little bit of it. That's why it's a practice. You don't do one practice and suddenly be freed from any grief you might be feeling. But revisiting this practice over and over again can help, and I hope will help. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the like button. And if you'd like to practice with me again, please click the subscribe button.